Hi guys, Kurt Provost here, your guide to all things new skin. It's time for the origin story of Pharmanex. So Pharmanex is the nutritional division of Nu Skin. However, they didn't start off that way. They were their own separate company, marketed through over 20,000 different retail stores at that point in time. And so they were founded by two icons of the pharmaceutical industry, Dr. Joe Chang from Wyeth Pharmaceuticals and Dr. Michael Chang from Merck Pharmaceuticals. And it's not that these guys weren't really successful within that industry, because they were. I mean, Dr. Joe Chang himself still has 3 drugs that are on the market that he was responsible for bringing to the market. And that's one for a brain tumor, one for arthritis, and one for asthma. What happened with these guys is they grew disillusioned with the pharmaceutical business model, where they would find something beneficial in nature and they wouldn't be interested in that substance because it was accessible for everyone. They couldn't have exclusivity over it. So inevitably what they would do is take that beneficial substance and hand it over to the molecular scientists who would modify it. And they would modify it until it had a similar benefit, however it was a totally new molecule. And they could take that to the patent's office, get an exclusive patent for it, and that would become part of the pharmaceutical company's intellectual property. That is, in a nutshell, the rough idea of pharmaceutical business model. And the problem with that is inevitably there would be some risks involved, there would be some side effects, or it wouldn't be as effective as the natural raw ingredient. And so what happened is they were looking at the nutritional industry and saying, you know what, there's not a lot of science in that industry. What if we brought the best of the science that we have here in the pharmaceutical industry and we married it with the best of the nutritional industry? Because they have access to a database of thousands and upon thousands of natural active ingredients and how they impact the body. So they were drawing upon that body of wisdom and marrying it with the best of science. And that is, of course, the double-blind, placebo-based, randomized control crossover efficacy studies. Now, you do not need to remember that, but that's just a process, a scientific process. It's extremely rigorous science that ensures that a product is, number one, safe. Number 2, it is substantiated. Number 3, it has a standardization of active ingredients in it. So essentially, it has in it what it claims to have in it, which at that point in time, back in 1995, was revolutionary stuff. Even to this day, it remains revolutionary because it's still kind of the Wild West in the supplement industry. You can still mix together a bunch of different ingredients and not have to run any clinical trials on the end product in order to bring it to the market. However, Pharmanex did, and they launched their main product was one called Colestim, and they launched 6 other products in that first year. They raised $28 million in funding to start up that business, which was one of the largest amounts of funding for a biotech company at that time. And in the first year, they got the product into 18,000 retail outlets and turned over $50 million in revenue. So it's not that they weren't successful, they were doing really well. However, Joe Chang, he reminisces and shares the story of how they met with Nu Skin. It was because they got very bold. He said, you know, we're scientists, we weren't marketers, we didn't really understand things, but we ran a full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal on page number 3. And that full-page ad was for the supplement Colestim, which naturally helped lower your cholesterol levels. And they said in that ad, they were targeting stressed out CEOs, business people who were probably taking cholesterol drugs. And in that ad, they said, lower your cholesterol without drugs. And he said, we didn't really think it through, because the CEOs of the pharmaceutical companies opening that up, seeing this little startup company called Pharmanex claiming that they can lower cholesterol levels without drugs. And so the lawyers came knocking on their door very soon. They went through a bunch of different litigation issues and claims. The pharmaceutical industry rang up the FDA and they had them knocking on their door. All this sort of stuff. While this mess was happening, the same law firm that was representing Pharmanex and helping them through this process was actually they worked with Nu Skin as well. And so someone at some point within that law firm made a connection and introduced the two, and Nu Skin became very interested in licensing that cholesterol product for themselves. And so they began having conversations with the two Changs, the founders of Pharmanex. And that is how they came to meet each other. So this is kind of an idea of paranoia. Some things that seem to be the worst thing that could possibly be happening to you at the time can bring the best results. You need a bit of time to be able to see that. And in hindsight, we can see that now because they may never have met Nu Skin. And what eventually happened with Nu Skin is they became really, really interested in Pharmanex as a company. With the research and development that Pharmanex had put in place, they'd built this research and development engine, and they wanted to bring that in and marry it with Nu Skin and marry it with their beauty products, their personal care products as well, bring that level of science, safety, and standardization to it. And they offered to acquire the company. They put a bid in for the company. At the same time, Joe's old employers, Wyatt Pharmaceuticals, also put a bid in for the company because they became interested in entering into the nutritional world, seeing that Pharmanex had done it so successfully. And also Monsanto put in a bid. So they had these three very generous bids for the company. So what's the reason that Pharmanex went with Nu Skin? Well, at first they didn't really trust Nu Skin. They were like, well, it's a multi-level marketing company, it's a direct selling company, I don't know about that. So they had to look into it a lot further, and the more they looked into it, the more they realized, wow, okay, this is something that is real first and foremost. But what they saw beyond that is that they could be a large part of a company that is growing rapidly and expanding, and that would give them a lot more say in the process of what products were coming out, what things they could and couldn't work on. Whereas if they were working with a massive multinational, multi-billion-dollar company, they would be this tiny little blip on the radar, and they wouldn't have a lot of say in that research and development process. And there's the risk of being cut from that company at some point in the future. So they also wanted to expand internationally, and because Nu Skin was already internationally, they had distributors around the world, they could provide that rapidly, and they were willing to invest a lot of money into expanding the product range. And so they chose Nu Skin. They partnered with Nu Skin. Nu Skin acquired them in late 1998. And then Blake Roney, one of the founders of Nu Skin, dropped the bombshell to Joe Chang, telling him that, all right, now we're going to withdraw the product from the 20,000 retail outlets that the products are currently in. And Joe thought they had lost their mind and were completely crazy. He's like, why would you do that? That is an incredibly lucrative distribution method right there. And Blake said, we are a direct selling company. We cannot compete with our distributors. We are a company that was founded by distributors, for distributors, and with distributors, we will grow and expand it. And he said, yeah, well, you could have both streams. And Blake explained to him that, well, what happens if, let's say, a large retail store, many of which are franchises, let's say maybe it's Walmart or something like that, they decide to discount the Pharmanex products just to get people in the door. So they're losing money on Pharmanex, but they're making money on other products, which quite often that's a strategy for retail chains. Then they would be undercutting the distributor force, and essentially they would be turning every distributor into a walking, talking advertisement for that retail chain, and we cannot do that to our distributor force. And so they withdrew it, and they spent millions purchasing back the product that was sitting in these retail stores and putting it inside Nu Skin warehouse. However, Joe did think they were nuts, but he's a scientist. He said, all right, show me the evidence. Let's see if this works or not. Show me the data that this is the right direction to go, the direct selling pathway. Well, in that first month with Nu Skin, when they launched the product in early 1999, they turned over more than the entire 12 months prior of revenue of Pharmanex in 1 month with Nu Skin. And that has grown from there to today. to be over $1 billion a year in turnover. It is a massive part of our business, and Joe really saw the evidence there, and he realized the power of the direct selling model, of having trained distributors sharing their personal experience with the product and getting the product directly into the hands of the people who want it and need it the most. That is an extremely efficient and powerful business model when you've got the right product, and Pharmanex is the perfect product for that. So that is how Pharmanex came to be partnered with Nu Skin. It's an amazing story, and from there they grew and essentially evolved into the massive research and development engine that Nu Skin has today. It was thanks to Pharmanex, and I like to think of Pharmanex as kind of like the mitochondria of the Nu Skin body. So mitochondria actually has its own DNA, which is crazy. At some point it was absorbed into a cell and they realized they had a symbiotic relationship. That's the same thing with Nu Skin. Pharmanex it had its own original start, but it merged with Nu Skin and it became the heart of Nu Skin and really powers this company with its rigorous science that has grown to over 75 full-time scientists, many of whom are PhDs in their respective fields, every single day coming to work to research and develop and grow and expand this product range so that we have incredible products to get out there into the marketplace, and they are exclusive to us. So that is the story of Pharmanex. This story is one that is constantly evolving and changing, and as we acquire new companies like GrowViv, you can check out the video here where I share about that, and the development of age-lock science, you can check out that video here as well. All of these are linked in together thanks to the acquisition of Pharmanex originally. That's it for today, guys. My name is Kurt Provost, your guide to all things Nu Skin. I hope you found this interesting. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified next time I create a video like this. And if you are super excited by what this means for the future of this company, for the future of the market, and you want to partner with this company, then by all means send me a message. I have my details after this because I'm always looking for great people to work with around the world. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, guys.